What's up there, workforce? Chris here with Work to Game, and it's an exciting time to be in gaming. And I just wanted to talk about cloud gaming and just my thoughts and see if you guys had any opinions on it. So as you guys know, Brian and I have been testing out Shadow X Gaming. We haven't yet made any agreements with them other than that we would try it, and it's been a positive experience. And around the same time, we're seeing Google Stadia move into their alpha stuff as they prep to make their launch in the space. We know that there's other players, and I just wanted to kind of talk about what excites me about that. There's the obvious on its face, the fact that you could put $2,000 or more worth of what would be personal computer hardware in somebody's lap for, around $300 a year, give or take, at these prices. Now, that is not any different than you've been able to do by going and buying a console for a one-time $300 charge, $500 charge, whatever, and then that lasts 5 years or 3 years or however long console generations have been lasting. But it's different because it's on a payment plan that you can opt in and out of for some of these. Shadow X, for example, you do sign up for that whole first year, but if they ever were to move to something where, okay, for a little bit more, you're available monthly, then you could say something like, you know what, God of War just came out. I just want to play God of War. Okay, well, then you only really need a console for 2 months, maybe. And then you could be done. You've got your, 100 plus hours in the game, and then you just totally move on with your life and you shut it off. The other thing that's exciting about it is when you talk about like digital nomads. So my sister and her husband actually pretty much travel full time. They live over in Europe, and they every time I talk to them, they're either on their way to go somewhere else, or they just got back from going somewhere else, or they can't answer because they are somewhere that they don't have easy access to a phone or anything. And yet they work through the internet. So all they have to do is make sure that every few days that they end up landing, in some VRBO or in some town that has a LAN cafe or a co-work space or anything like that, where they can get their work done. And so they can clock their hours in a week, and they can say, you know what, we're going to be somewhere with internet Monday through Wednesday, and then we can go off on our own. And that lets them, they're not tied to an office. And cloud gaming, one of the hard parts about that lifestyle is that you have to give up something like gaming. And for some members of like at least my generation, that's a pretty big part of what it is you do and what you love and what you enjoy in a way that you connect. It's how I spend a lot of time with my brothers is through video games, and we sit and we chat together. And sometimes we're between lobbies and we're just hanging out. We're chatting about, jobs or life or whatever. And so I can't imagine just giving up gaming long term. The cloud acting as that is something that's really intriguing. And if it has the power to be a gaming computer, I don't know why it wouldn't have the power to at some point be, where Brian and I edit videos, or where you do, somebody like my brother does his computer programming, or anybody else does their computer, because gaming is one of the more resource intensive uses of a computer. So if it can do gaming, it's possible that a lower tier of one of these Google Stadia services or something would allow you to remote in and do everything between gaming and what you already have cloud-based services like Google Drive and stuff doing. So you already have your file storage there. You already have, within Google Sheets and Google, all of that stuff, you have your word processor, your Excel, all of that. But there's a gap, right? There's a gap for anything that I need to install actual software. And a cloud-based PC being available to the public on a month-to-month basis it's exciting. And it's something that I think could really change gaming. Now, one of the big complaints about it is that people don't have access to the bandwidth. In the United States, the average bandwidth per user is around, I think, like 90 megabits per second for a hardline connection and 30 megabits a second for a mobile connection. And those have gaps. Even a 3% gap in the public, which is what the mobile carriers claim they have, is still nearly, it's around 11 million people. And that's a lot. It's a lot of people. to be missing, but the overall coverage is there. As these technologies develop and they learn to run on less and less bandwidth, it's intriguing to think that you would have bandwidth also being developed on the other side, because that's not necessarily what the Shadows and the Google of the world are necessarily focused on. They're focused on creating the use for the bandwidth. Google specifically does have an arm that goes and ties itself into that, but that's very separate, right? Google Stadia is doing its own thing, and then in theory, the bandwidth will come to match it. So it does create an interesting thing where you say, like, well, do you wait for the bandwidth to be there to develop the application, or do you develop the application for the people who have it and then just trust that the bandwidth will catch up? I think the latter is the wiser decision. Just go ahead and get people in testing it and all of that. Unfortunately, it won't be everybody, but hopefully by the time it is, it's just that much more stable for it. I'm personally really excited to be living somewhere that has good access to internet in a time when the internet is becoming even cooler than ever. So I just wanted to kind of start this discussion. What do you guys think about cloud gaming? What do you guys think about cloud PCs? The ability to have a console or a computer in the PC, either for work or for your personal things, or even just if it's isolated to something like gaming. Streaming services like this, where I can now stream my Netflix and stream this, I don't have to own anything but basically a series of weak either tablets or laptops or something like that, if I have a good internet connection. And the rest could all be done through basically leasing these services through, I could have a Netflix subscription and a Shadow or a Stadia subscription, and and I can do everything I need to do without a whole lot of boxes in my life, which means I'm not tied to my house. So if I want to go stay with a family member for a month on the other side of the country, I don't lose access to anything. And that's pretty cool. So would love to know y'all's thoughts. My name's Chris with Work to Game. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time.
Hey guys, it's me. Thanks so much for watching this video, and we hope to see you on our next.
Is there anywhere you think they could see us in the meantime?
Well, right now you probably can catch us out on Twitch. We usually stream quite a lot. So the link is in the description below for our Twitch page. And if you guys want to support us and you like what we do here on YouTube, you can actually support us for free by using your Twitch Prime sub if you're Amazon Prime.